So tell me more about your book.
So, Cetra came about. I was going off into the woods and I received a message, basically just in my mind, that said I was going to be taught how to become a New Age shaman. And so I started writing down this language that started coming to me, these different words that expressed meaning, things I had been through. So if you want to contribute it to my own mind, remembering the past and bringing it out into a language, you can. Um, but the language is meant to unify people so that instead of arguing about something, we can come together and build something. Um, and this book seeks to unify people through that. Like kokula is the first word, not listed in the book, but kokula basically means whatever you believe God to be, then I respect that and I believe that to be true. Just I relate differently, or I have a different belief, or I have a different name, but it's the same entity that you're believing in. It's all the same. And so that's really the essence of
So your goal is to basically transcend modern form of language and to bring about this new one to try to bring multiple cultures together.
exactly. And see, it's like the language isn't meant to be used by itself. It's meant to be used with any language spoken. So you can interject these words that relate a collective meaning. So we share this, yeah, exactly. It's meant to exactly transcend the boundaries of exactly why everybody's arguing with each other.
Interesting. So you're talking about like throughout multiple cultures, like having the same story told in a different manner that are prevalent throughout culture, like multiple cultures.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's like we have our version of the flood, and over in Asia or in that portion of the world, they have a different version of that flood event happening. We've learned all the same thing, but we're so, well, we got to use this word over here and that word over here, but they're really saying the exact same thing.
Interesting. So tell me about your trip that you had in the woods.
So my trip in the woods, it was really amazing because I went out there and know that I have never received training for surviving in the woods or gutting an animal or killing an animal or anything. Just what I've been given in life, what I've talked about with other people or perhaps seen on TV. So I went out there and I started building this hut. Completely natural woods going up, different limbs, branches. I was cleaning up the grounds. And within the hut, it had a straw roof, which is really awesome. It had a straw roof. And I built 7 walls inside of it and dug out the bottom and lived out there. It was beautiful, it was amazing. And it seemed like every night before the fire, or not before the fire, but during the fire, the coals would show a mural of depictions, and I wasn't on drugs, hallucinogens, or anything like that. I don't even like pharmaceutical aspirin. This was all completely natural. The only thing that could have really majorly induced all of this was the traumatic past of losing everything that I had ever lived with before. So that's how that might have been induced. Otherwise, um, before the embers on the fire, it was excellent because they would paint a picture and I would see exactly what it was telling me, and then I would hear a word and I would write those two things down.
You were scrying with fire.
Yeah, yeah, very much so, very much so. And then after 2 to 3 months, I didn't need the fire anymore necessarily. It kept coming to me, and it kept coming to me, and at certain times it would happen, and I would write it down, and it was really amazing. I found my family. I practically had a son out there. It was an animal, it was a ferret. It was very awesome and amazing. I called him CJ. But
You found a ferret?
well, I bought him.
Okay.
And that would have been cool to find him. But no,
Right.
I bought him. It was pretty amazing because I received a vision of what he would look like the day before I got him. So that was pretty awesome.
And this is all on your existential trip in the woods.
Yeah, it was, and it was pretty amazing. One of the most memorable moments is this particular individual and his wife. I mean, they're like in their 40s, 50s, whatnot. They're definitely older. They jumped a 6-foot fence to come visit me at night, and this guy, I wish I remembered his name, but he was feeling very suicidal. He wanted to take his own life, and out of everybody he knew or out of the city life or whatever, he came and jumped a fence and found me in the woods to get him out of that suicidal slump. And that was really amazing. I had another lady, she came down from California and had moved in, and nearby anyways, and she went strolling through the woods, and like nobody ever went back there, and she came in and it was pretty amazing. We started talking, and her past basically coincided with my past. She was going through the same kind of traumatic events that I had went through, so it was very enlightening. Yeah, that entire experience. um, and then there was another event where my place had gotten broken into because I didn't really have a door, but it was kind of a makeshift door, and swung open and closed if you knew how to use it. Well, I came home one day and my door had been taken off, moved about 10 feet away, set down on the ground, not destroyed, could have been if they were careless. And my place was not ransacked, but they had stolen a very awesome knife, a knife that I had someone else helped me set the trap, but I caught a ferret, or not a ferret, I caught a raccoon, and I killed him with this particular knife. And somebody had told me the best kill shot was under the armpit, and I was aiming for his throat, and after I looked and discovered, I wound up getting the kill shot right exactly under the armpit. So like I had said my prayer and everything. It was pretty amazing. Made stew out of them. I cut them appropriately open. Didn't mess or puncture the wrong portions, I guess, because I didn't get sick, so that was good. And
But you had never done that before?
never gutted an animal, never took an animal down to its meat and stew, and never.
How'd it
never.
taste?
Actually, it was because I had made it like a stew. It was really good because it just kept simmering with all the fat, and it just created a wonderful taste. And the meat was broken down and wasn't tough.
Cool.
And I felt that was the safest way to do it.
Raccoon stew?
Huh?
Raccoon stew.
It was. I did have raccoon stew, and I couldn't eat it all. And there was so much fat in it, I kept it for an additional 24 hours because I felt like the fat was going to keep it seasoned and well, and I had some salt in there, I'm sure. And after the second night that I had cooked it up, I put it out in the woods down on a trail that I had known, animals go down, and it was gone that next day. So the raccoon went back into nature. It's pretty awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they stole that knife that I made the kill with, and I had never really needed that particular knife otherwise because it was like really it was a decent sized knife. It's a Bowie knife, and rather than getting upset at my place being infiltrated, if you will, and something taken, I looked at the positive aspects. They did not destroy my place. They did not steal my things. They didn't throw everything all over the ground. They were respectful as much as they could be to my belongings, and they got what they needed, and I no longer needed it. And I kept, after that moment, I kept my most important things on me, and because if it was going to get stolen, then I wanted it on me so it wouldn't get stolen.
Where were you exactly? At
It
an
was
undisclosed location.
an undisclosed location. Yeah, it was within a city, a very well populated city. But the woods that I was staying in at that particular time, there was like apartments and like neighborhood, and it was this huge nature trail that people had, this forest area that people would go into and whatnot. And I had just found a little spot in the nook, and I cleaned it up as much as I could, and I kept building and kept improving until my place was compromised. And so find the good in the bad. You know?
So last question. How long were you in the woods the second time? At the start of your
It would have been 3 months total. I was 2 months at one location, and then there was some woods in between some mall area, whatnot, and so I stayed out there for about a month before I hit the road.
that's pretty cool that you lasted that long.
Yeah, I've got some secrets, but that's not necessarily I want to share. You know,
Reasonable.
wasn't thievery or theft or hurting nobody, but yeah, you know, I
What
passed
happens in the woods stays in the woods.
kind of. You know, I fasted for 40 days so I can survive on minimum intake. So, yeah.